Glasses. Lean thinking. Lean thinking comes from Japan. The first one establishing some lean thinking principle was the Mr. Taiichi Ono, considered the father of the Toyota production system, which in 1926 defined the first three fundamental sources of dysfunction in an organization. Okay? Means if you get any of these three, you better be very careful because your organization is somewhere accumulating cost and dysfunction. Okay? So the three fundamental sources of dysfunction, MURI, knows as the 3M of lean. The first one is MURI, which is a Japanese word which can roughly be translated in overburden. So what happens when inside an environment someone can observe a situation where one person or more than one person or a resource, which means something mechanical, okay, is overburdened. What means overburden? It means that it's not performing according to their capability, okay, and capacity. What happens when, what we do when this happens? How many of you found themselves many times really willing to finish a task, but knowing the time is not enough, but you still deliver something, right? We are all optimistic, we are all men. We want to do good. Nobody of us wants to throw away tasks when they are not finished. We try to finish anyway. But when we finish anyway, what are the things we leave behind? At any cost. Do it quick and dirty. Never heard that? Just leave the test aside for now. Just show me that it works. Then we do it later. Okay? What do we leave behind? We leave quality behind. We leave precision. We leave carefulness behind. This is what we leave behind. And what does it happen then? That we accumulate rework. And rework goes on the same pile where the normal work is. So we get even more stressed. And under the stress, we deliver even less quality. So this is the so-called catch-22 problem that the Japanese found out already many years ago. And they said very clearly, hey, do not overload the people. And whenever you see a situation of overload, stop the process and understand why it's happening. Because if you don't fix it immediately, you will have serious quality problem afterwards. Okay? And from this, the quality discipline of lean, which is called build quality in, which is one of the 7 lean disciplines, stems from this fundamental principle. Okay? Remove all the condition of overburden. The second one, which is probably less known, is called Mura. Mura is about removing unnecessary variation from a flow. Okay? To make a simple example, think one, again, as a backlog. A backlog is a list of items which is ordered in a way or another, and from the top to the bottom of the backlog, okay, from right to left, assume that this is one simple thing to do. That one person in a team said, oh yes, I know how to do that. Let's say it's 2 to 3 days of work. I think we have a pretty good understanding how to make that happen. Then the second one comes, and this is probably, at least this is what the people think, is about 4 times as big as the first one. I say probably because the estimation is based on a guess, which is based on a lot of assumption. Because our brain doesn't know how many hours it takes to do something. What it does, look into the catalog of everything we already did, try to find something which is similar to this one, and then said, oh, this looks familiar, 3 hours, because it took 3 hours the first time. But it doesn't mean it will actually happen, because that search is driven by a certain number of assumptions and risks we are taking. So the more experience of us always pumped in some buffer hour, just to stay on the safe side. And why we do that? Because we are measured on compliance on estimation, rather than on how much value we deliver. With this is that we can't change it. It's the way we are wired. So our brain even try to normalize the flow in such a way that in the same context, the requirement or list of things we need to do are looking similar in as many dimensions as possible. Because any unneeded variation will bring us, unfortunately, to a situation where the team gets too much uncertain and they don't feel comfortable anymore, even about the simplest thing they always did without any waste time. They say, wait a moment, I'm wasting time if I'm doing it and nobody else needs it. So how many of this type of activity can you identify in your flow and start to discuss the fact that they are needed or not needed anymore? Okay? How many of you live in a very strong compliance-regulated environment? like automotive, aerospace, medicine, okay? You know what I'm talking about. You are creating document because someday someone created a quality system and said this is a standard operating procedure manual, follow it. Don't ask me why, okay? Took a lot of brain cells to create it. But the last time someone reviewed it was maybe 3 or 4 years ago. And in the meanwhile, a lot of things changed. But we still create the report in that way because it's written in the standard operating procedure manual. How much money is your company wasting to be compliant? How much of those money can be better invested in creating value, which your customer will appreciate much more than you being compliant, okay?